Hey neighbor, time for another quickie review right here on ARTV Rogue. I want to talk about the new Wallows LP, their second full-length album. It's called Tell Me That It's Over. It just came out recently, and I found myself kind of dreading the release in a way because Wallows, to me, have become one of those bands that are so vastly inconsistent that it's hard to predict what their next move is going to be. Is it going to be something that makes sense, like the incredible full-length experience Nothing Happens, top to bottom, stacked with bangers, the flow of the track list impeccable, or is it going to be a little bit more dull, like the Spring EP, or just a WTF, like I found myself scratching my head after listening to the Remote EP and some of those deluxe tracks as well? But it seemed like they were trying to get back into focus coming out of quarantine. The pandemic has at least lessened its blow here stateside, and with this second project being produced by Ariel Rekshad, who has worked with the likes of Haim and many other really respected artists, I was definitely expecting more in terms of cohesion, and I think that they hit that, but they also lose a bit of focus once again in other aspects by trying to combine too many ideas into one individual song. This happens on the likes of Especially You. Despite the fact that that track has grown on me, I think it's got a great post-chorus, and the way that it rolls along is nice and smooth, but at the same time, they're jamming in these kind of wonky vocal melodies in addition to some harmonica. And if you don't like harmonica, maybe you're a little bit like me, you don't necessarily care for the campfire vibes, there are a surprising amount of harmonicas on this album, and it can be a bit out of place, a little bit jarring with the things that they try to layer on top. Now, whether this is coming from Wallows themselves, or maybe some direction from their producer, I have no way of knowing, but I find myself gravitating towards some of the more Braeden-led tracks, because obviously with there being two vocalists in this band, Braeden and Dylan, I tend to prefer Braeden's voice. He definitely has the strongest single out of the three that they put out. At the End of the Day is a fantastic song. I think this album, choosing to focus on relationships and exploring that from the inside out, it's interesting, at least to a degree on paper, but the execution isn't always there. Now, the songs themselves, despite the fact that maybe I'm not vibing with some of the lyrics, maybe there's some oddball wonky sounds out there that kind of disrupt things, like a tidal wave while you're trying to relax at the beach, well, this is something that I find a little bit excusable, at least to a degree, because I do think they did a decent job at driving the hooks in and making this thing sound kind of immaculate in terms of the atmosphere. And while there's tracks that definitely drag it down, like Hurts Me, where they go full on 80s cheese, I definitely see that as more of a lone wolf instead of an entire experience getting brought down type of thing. Hurts Me is incredibly agitating, and that definitely drives me a bit crazy as a Braeden fan over Dylan, at least vocally in the band. But their contributions are definitely felt on other places, with At the End of the Day, I think, being Braeden's best moment, and then Dylan coming through at the end of the album and trading off some places with Guitar Romantic Search Adventure. I love the kind of orchestration that builds up in the track before that, That's What I Get, but then we maneuver over to this, and we definitely get more of a payoff than I would have expected to close out the LP. It's not necessarily on the level of Do Not Wait, because that is an incredibly epic song, but at the end of the day, if you will, I do think this album grew on me, and I appreciate that there is stuff in there that feels like they're growing as a band without totally losing themselves. But I do feel a little bit torn and jaded in the sense that I feel they could have perfected this a little bit more. It feels a little rowdy in the track list. It flies up, it goes down. Some of the songs don't necessarily mesh that well with each other, but overall, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. Now comes the part where I ask you guys, what did you think of the album Tell Me That It's Over by Wallows? Sound off in the comments section, hit that like button, subscribe for the love of music, and don't forget to check out other quickie reviews that I've done that are floating on screen right now.